Well, good afternoon, everyone. It is now the 29th of August, and I've been doing this whole journey of pancreatic cancer with no eyes for a whole 9 weeks as of tomorrow, or 9 weeks at least since I had the Whipple surgery. So I thought I should come back and do another video to tell you all about my first week of chemotherapy, because you just might be a little bit like me and find the whole idea of chemo interesting. Why do I find it interesting? Well, that's because there's a bit of a veil of secrecy about it. People have got lots of terrible stories to tell you, and you know, they lower their voices and they sound really worried. And so I have to be perfectly honest and say that on Monday of last week, I went in thinking, oh my goodness, I'm going to come home today feeling absolutely sick and dreadful, and probably going to be like that for the next, 6 months, because the chemo is going to last for 6 months. Anyway, I'm in there, I'm having a needle, and the chemo started to hit my veins. It stung. I knew it was the chemo then, rather than the saline. And I said to the nurse, am I going to feel sick today? And she said, oh no. I felt myself relax. And that's actually been my experience so far. I haven't felt sick. I haven't got the trots. I haven't needed to use the double bucket shuffle idea. And probably the main things that I've experienced are a bit of a low-grade headache and a bit of a bit of tiredness. This morning when I woke up, I've noticed that I'm starting to get a couple of ulcers in my mouth, which is quite common and really grabs me as an idea. Not. But I've got the Vegemite out because that's an Uncle Brian trick, and I'm going to hope that it works. Otherwise, I've had a good week. It's an interesting thing, the whole chemo. You've got to be wary of your temperature. You've got to make sure it doesn't go up. You've got to be very clean. So something that I hadn't known, but you who've gone through chemo will know, is that when you're taking oral chemotherapy drugs, no one else is allowed to touch them. So 4 days before I started, I met with one of the Austin oncology nurses, and she told me all sorts of stuff about what might go wrong. Not much about what might go right. But anyway, and she explained the importance of no one else being able to touch my chemotherapy drugs, because of course they are cytotoxic, I think it is, or at least, yeah. And interestingly, if I have any body fluid that is obvious in the environment, like sick or diarrhea or anything like that, no one can help with that, with cleaning that up, without really important protective measures like gloves and that sort of stuff, because it's just unsafe. And whereas I can touch things because I'm actually taking the drugs, they can't. So those sorts of things I hadn't known. So the nurse was full of information. Now, of course, because I'm blind, that probably means I'm the Virgin Mary. So she didn't discuss sex, so I can't tell you what we could say about sex. But I have it on good authority from a cousin who's a nurse that, it's a good idea to use condoms if you're having sex. But anyway, maybe no one does when they have cancer, you see. It switches the whole sex thing off. So, yeah, it's been really interesting just, I guess, learning about the whole chemo thing, all jokes aside. And, I feel really blessed that I've gone through 7 days or almost 7 days without any really noticeable side effects, or without side effects that can't be sorted out by a couple of Panadol. Tomorrow, I'm going in to have a port put in, and that's because my veins are always collapsing when they try and put a cannula into them to give me the chemotherapy. So that will be painful tomorrow, of course, but be a good thing in the end, because it'll just make giving the injectable chemo so much easier. So that's tomorrow, you know, and otherwise things are going along quite well. Oh, they tell you that you don't eat with chemotherapy. You know, you can barely notice any food. You really don't want to eat anything. Yeah, I've been interested in food all my life. Let me just tell you, that hasn't changed in the last week. Yeah, I think my appetite's increased, not decreased. But that's probably to make up for all the things that are coming for me. Because if I listen to all the whispered tones and they were okay for the first week and then they got very, very sick, well, maybe that's what's coming and I'll lose the weight then. Yeah, I'm writing down 5 things a day that have made me grateful, because that helps me and helps me to keep positive. And I really feel very lucky that I've got through the first week. My dad and I are the eternal optimists of the Pearson family. And so we look at each other at the end of each day and say, well, you know, it's 4% of the time done, which it will be tonight. And yeah, just, I guess, for anyone who's going to go through chemo, who watches this, you know, I'm not saying that bad times aren't coming for me. They probably are. But the first 7 days are done and I'm okay. And those 7 days can never be revisited on me. You know, whatever I'm doing, I'm working towards the end. And so I just feel really blessed that so far it's been okay. Of course, I'll be back to tell you if it changes and track the journey. It's all worth it if I can then, in a few years' time, say, I've just passed my 5-year anniversary of having the Whipple, or what the people on the Whipple group call the Whippleversary. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching, everyone, and for keeping in touch and for not giving up on me, especially those of you who text me and I haven't answered. I still get a bit tired, as I said, but, you know, I'm bouncing back and starting to see that there is going to be life after this rotten pancreatic cancer, eyes or no eyes. So, yeah, take care, everyone. Look after each other, and hope isolation's not driving you too mad. Hey, here's a positive for me. At least we're all in ISO together. So, you know, if I was the only one that I knew of with pancreatic cancer, I could be sitting here on weekends and, you know, getting depressed and hearing about all the great things that you're all doing. But in fact, you're sitting at home with me. No, I'm not supposed to be happy about that, am I? Okay, take care and I'll be back. Thanks for watching if you're still here.